The rain hammered the window like fists on a coffin lid, and Elias Harlan stood there, phone trembling in his hand, Wyatt's voice crackling through the line like shattered glass. "Eli, wait, don't hang up. I didn't mean it like that." But he had meant it, every word a blade twisting deeper. And in that instant, the world Elias had built around their love crumbled into the storm-swept streets of Seattle below. He dropped the phone, not with anger, but with the numb finality of a man burying his own heart. Elias Harlan had always chased the rain. It started back in the salt-crusted summers of Bar Harbor, Maine, where he'd skip stones across Acadia Bay until his fingers pruned, dreaming of cities that pulsed like veins under electric skies. Seattle fit that dream like a worn leather jacket, damp, brooding, full of corners where secrets could hide. He'd arrived 3 years ago, fresh out of a community college graphic design program, with a backpack stuffed with sketchbooks and a heart wide open for the first time since his parents' divorce had splintered their family like driftwood. At 25, he was all sharp angles and quiet fire. 5'10", lean from too many late nights hunched over a drafting table, his hazel eyes the color of storm-tossed waves, skin pale as the fog rolling in from Puget Sound. Wyatt Kane crashed into his life like a rogue wave. It was a Thursday in late autumn, the kind where the leaves clung to branches out of sheer spite, and Elias was nursing a black coffee at a hole-in-the-wall cafe in Capitol Hill. Wyatt slid into the seat across from him uninvited, all broad shoulders and easy grin. His dark blonde hair tousled like he'd just rolled out of bed after wrestling the wind. "You're hogging the only outlet," Wyatt said, plugging in his laptop without waiting for permission. "And that sketch you're doodling has got soul. What's the story behind it?" Elias glanced up, caught off guard. The drawing was half-formed. A silhouette of a man standing at the edge of a cliff, arms outstretched toward a churning sea. "No story, just feelings I can't shake." Wyatt's eyes, a piercing blue that reminded Elias of glacial ice, locked onto his, and something shifted in the air, electric as the first crack of thunder. They talked for hours that day, Wyatt spinning tales of his life as a freelance photographer chasing light across the Pacific Northwest. He was 30, from a sun-baked ranch outside Austin, Texas, but Seattle had hooked him with its moody grays and hidden pockets of green. "Texas is all wide-open skies and barbecue regrets." He'd laugh, his Texas drawl softened by years in the city. "Here, you can disappear into the rain and no one asks why." Elias found himself laughing too, the sound foreign after months of solitary evenings in his cramped Belltown studio apartment. By the end of the week, they were inseparable. Wyatt's touch was fire, casual at first, a hand on the small of Elias's back as they navigated Pike Place Market's chaos. Then bolder, fingers tracing the ink of a tattoo peeking from Elias's shirt collar. A compass rose, inked during a rebellious phase in Portland. Their first kiss happened under the Space Needle's shadow, rain sluicing down their faces, Wyatt's lips tasting of salt and possibility. "I've been waiting for someone like you," Wyatt murmured, pulling Elias close, and in that moment, Elias believed him. Love bloomed fierce and fast, the way wild roses overrun a chain-link fence. They moved in together 6 months later, into a loft in Fremont with exposed brick walls, and a view of the ship canal where freighters ghosted by like forgotten memories. Elias's designs started landing gigs, album covers for indie bands, murals for coffee shops, and Wyatt's photos graced gallery walls, capturing the raw underbelly of the city. Drag queens in the neon glow of Broadway, elders feeding ducks in Green Lake at dawn, nights blurred into mornings tangled in sheets. Wyatt's body a map Elias memorized with lips and hands, their whispers filling the spaces where doubt might have crept in. But cracks formed subtly, like hairline fractures in glass. Wyatt's phone would buzz late at night, and he'd slip away to the balcony, voice low and urgent. "It's just work," he'd say when Elias asked, but his eyes would dart away, blue depths clouding over. Elias pushed it down, told himself it was the artist's life, unpredictable, all-consuming. He poured his soul into their home, framing Wyatt's prints, cooking Texas-style brisket on Sundays to make him homesick in the best way. "You're my anchor," Elias would say, pressing a kiss to Wyatt's temple, and Wyatt would pull him tighter, murmuring, "And you're the storm I never want to outrun." The first real storm hit on a crisp February evening, the kind where the Olympics loomed purple against a sky bruised with sunset. Elias had planned a surprise: tickets to a queer film festival downtown, a picnic of craft beers and charcuterie spread on a blanket in Volunteer Park. He waited at the loft, heart humming like a live wire, until the clock ticked past 8. Wyatt stumbled in at 10, reeking of bourbon and rain, tie askew from a networking event that had run long. "Babe, I'm sorry," Wyatt slurred, collapsing onto the couch, but Elias saw the lipstick smudge on his collar. Faint coral, not his shade. The air thickened, words hanging unspoken like storm clouds. "Who is she?" Elias finally asked, voice steady as he knelt to untie Wyatt's shoes, a habit born of care. Wyatt's laugh was bitter, jagged. "It's nothing, Eli. Just a flirt at the bar. Means less than the rain out there." But Elias knew better. He'd seen the way Wyatt's gaze lingered on certain men at parties, the easy charm that drew them in like moths. No, not a she, a he. The realization hit like cold water, but Elias swallowed it, choosing instead to believe the lie because loving Wyatt meant building bridges over chasms. They made up that night, bodies colliding in a frenzy of need and forgiveness, Wyatt's hands mapping Elias's skin like he was claiming territory. "I love you," Wyatt gasped against his neck, and Elias clung to those words, letting them drown out the whispers of doubt. Spring unfurled around them, cherry blossoms dusting the streets like confetti, long hikes in the Cascades where they'd fuck under star-pricked skies, breathless and alive. Elias started sketching again, portraits of Wyatt. One with his head thrown back in laughter, another asleep, lashes fanning shadows on his cheeks. "These are magic?" Wyatt said, hanging them in the loft, and Elias felt whole, like the pieces of his fractured past had finally slotted into place. Yet the shadows lengthened. Wyatt's gigs took him away, more shoots in Portland, a week in LA for a magazine spread. Texts grew sparse, calls cut short by dead zones. Elias filled the silence with work, his designs evolving into bold, emotive pieces that caught the eye of a boutique agency in Soto. "You're blowing up, man," his boss, a wiry queer artist named Theo, told him over lunch at a vegan spot in Ballard. "This city's got room for dreamers like you." Elias smiled, but inside, the loft felt emptier, the bed too vast without Wyatt's warmth. One humid July night, the dam broke. Elias came home early from a client meeting, arms laden with groceries for Wyatt's favorite enchiladas. The door was ajar, moans spilling out like smoke. He froze in the threshold, heart plummeting as he took in the scene. Wyatt on the kitchen counter, shirt unbuttoned, locked in a kiss with a stranger. Tall, tattooed, with a jawline sharp as a switchblade. The man's hands roamed Wyatt's chest, possessive, and Wyatt arched into it, oblivious or uncaring. The bags hit the floor, apples rolling like accusations. "Wyatt!" Elias's voice was a ghost, but it sliced through. Wyatt jerked back, eyes wide with the panic of a boy caught stealing. "Eli, shit! It's not." The stranger smirked, adjusting his belt, and sauntered out with a nod that said he'd won something. Elias didn't yell. He couldn't. Instead, he sank to the floor amid the spilled produce, the cold tile seeping through his jeans, and wept, not for the betrayal, but for the illusion he'd cradled so tenderly. Wyatt knelt beside him, babbling apologies, hands hovering like he wanted to touch but knew better. "It was a mistake. One time. I swear you're it for me." But Elias saw the lie in the flush of Wyatt's cheeks, the way his gaze flicked to the door, already half gone. That night, they slept apart for the first time, Elias on the couch with a throw pillow clutched to his chest, listening to Wyatt's snores echo like accusations. Dawn crept in gray and unforgiving, and Elias packed a duffel while Wyatt slept off the hangover. He left a note on the fridge. I need space to breathe. Don't follow. Then he was out the door, the elevators ding a final punctuation. Seattle's rain washing his tears into the gutters as he walked toward the ferry terminal. Ticket to anywhere but here clutched in his fist. The ferry cut through the sound like a knife through silk, Bainbridge Island rising on the horizon, a temporary refuge. Elias rented a room in a Victorian B&B, the kind with creaky floors and sea views that mocked his turmoil. Days blurred. Walks on the beach where he hurled stones into the waves, sketching feverishly in a notebook that filled with fractured images. Wyatt's face morphing into thorns, his own reflection shattered like a dropped mirror. Calls from Theo came, offers of freelance work, but Elias let them go to voicemail, the world narrowing to the rhythm of tides and his own ragged breaths. Wyatt's texts started that first week. Come home. We can fix this. Then, I miss your laugh. By day 10, they turned desperate. Eli, please. I'm lost without you. Elias read them in the dead of night, thumb hovering over reply, but always deleted the drafts. Love wasn't a chain. It was a choice, and Wyatt had chosen wrong. Still, the ache lingered, a bruise on his soul that throbbed with every heartbeat. A month in, Elias caught a flight east, not home to Bar Harbor, with its ghosts of childhood summers and parental silences, but to Portland, Maine, a coastal town 2 hours south, where Theo had a contact at a design co-op. Fresh start, Theo emailed. You've got talent that deserves daylight. Portland welcomed him with lobster shacks and cobblestone streets, the air thick with salt and second chances. He sublet a studio above a bookstore on Congress Street, walls lined with his sketches, the scent of old pages mingling with his morning coffee. Life stitched itself back, thread by careful thread. Mornings at the co-op, collaborating on murals for local festivals. Vibrant queer histories splashed across brick facades. Evenings sketching patrons at the Honey Joint, a dive bar where drag shows lit up Friday nights. There, he met Finn, a lanky bartender with freckles like constellations and a laugh that cut through the din. You draw like you're exorcising demons, Finn said one night, sliding him a free whiskey sour. They talked until closing, Finn sharing stories of his own coming out scars. The way his conservative family in Augusta had folded him into silence. No sparks flew, not like with Wyatt, but Finn's friendship was a bomb, steady and unassuming. Wyatt's messages tapered, then surged again in October, as leaves turned the parks to fire. Saw your mural in the paper. Proud of you. Miss you. Elias archived them, a digital graveyard, but the pull remained, a tether he couldn't quite sever. Holidays loomed, Thanksgiving with Finn's ragtag chosen family, a table groaning under turkey and pie, laughter echoing off exposed beams. Elias raised a glass, toasting to roots and wings, but his mind wandered west, to the loft where Wyatt might be eating takeout alone, blue eyes dimmed. Winter gripped Portland in iron fists, snow dusting the lighthouse at Portland Head like powdered sugar on regret. Elias's work flourished. A gallery show in December. His pieces, portraits of lovers lost and found, drawing whispers of raw and resonant. Critics called him the voice of quiet queer resilience, and for the first time he believed it. But solitude crept in on windy nights, the bed too empty, dreams laced with Wyatt's scent, cedar and sea salt. Then, on New Year's Eve, as fireworks cracked over Casco Bay, his phone lit up with a voicemail. Wyatt's voice, rough with emotion. Eli, it's me. I fucked up. Royally. Saw some guy at the bar tonight. Thought it was you for a second. Heart stopped. Come back. Please. I need you. Elias played it on loop, the city's revelry mocking his indecision, until dawn broke cold and clear, forcing him to choose. Run forever or face the storm. Word count. 1024. Part 2. The decision simmered through January's frost, a low boil in Elias's veins as Portland streets iced over like forgotten promises. He threw himself into the gallery aftermath. Interviews with local rags, a podcast spot where he spoke haltingly about reclaiming narrative after heartbreak. The host, a soft-spoken trans woman named Riley, leaned in. Art is armor, right? You wear your wounds like badges. Elias nodded, but inside, the wounds wept fresh blood. Wyatt's voicemail haunted him, played on silent loops during commutes on the 100 bus, the harbor's gray expanse mirroring his mood. Finn noticed, of course, over greasy diner breakfasts at Becky's, he'd nudge Elias's boot under the table. That Texan ghost still rattling chains? Finn's green eyes were kind, no judgment, just the quiet solidarity of survivors. Elias confessed in fragments. The betrayal's sting, the way love had twisted into a noose. He made me feel seen, Elias said, stirring sugar into his coffee until it dissolved like lies. Then he looked right through me. Finn listened, then shared his own scar. A high school boyfriend who'd outed him to the whole town for a laugh. We heal crooked, but we heal, Finn said, clinking mugs. And damn if it doesn't make us stronger. Elias's sketches evolved, darker now. Figures entwined in thorned embraces, faces half-shadowed by regret. One piece, Echoes in the Rain, sold to a collector from Boston, the check enough for a down payment on a tiny cottage in South Portland, overlooking the bay. Your empire begins, Theo texted from Seattle, forwarding job leads that Elias politely declined. Independence tasted bittersweet, like the first sip of ale after a bender. Freeing, but laced with loss. Wyatt's pursuit escalated subtly. A package arrived mid-February. A leather-bound sketchbook, pages filled with Wyatt's Polaroids, snaps of their hikes, the loft at dawn, Elias asleep with sunlight gilding his lashes. Tucked inside, a letter in Wyatt's scrawled hand. These are us. Before I ruined it. I see now what I threw away. Come home, Eli. Let me make it right. Elias traced the photos with trembling fingers, memories flooding. Wyatt's laugh echoing in Discovery Park, their bodies slick under summer showers. He burned the letter in the cottage's fireplace, watching flames devour the words, but kept the book, a talisman of what was. Spring tiptoed in with crocuses pushing through snow, and Elias accepted a commission. A mural for the Portland Pride Festival, a sprawling tapestry of queer icons woven with local lore, lighthouse keepers stealing kisses in the fog, sailors dancing under moonlit masts, working nights in the co-op's warehouse space, paint flecking his skin like freckles. He felt alive again, the brush an extension of his pulse. Finn tagged along one evening, mixing pigments, their banter light as sea foam. If that cowboy shows up, I'll sick the drag queens on him, Finn joked, but his eyes held a question. Are you ready? The answer came unbidden on a balmy April afternoon. Elias was at the farmer's market on Munjoy Hill, haggling over heirloom tomatoes, when a shadow fell across his basket. Eli, Wyatt's voice, that drawl like honey over gravel, rooted him to the cobblestones. There he stood, taller than memory, faded jeans hugging his hips, flannel shirt rolled to elbows revealing corded forearms. His blue eyes were storm-ravaged, hollowed by sleepless nights, stubble shadowing his jaw. Elias's heart lurched, a wild thing caged. What are you doing here? The words came out steady, but his hands clenched the basket's handle, knuckles white. Wyatt stepped closer, scent of pine and desperation wafting. Followed your trail. Gallery show, murals. Couldn't stay away. His gaze raked Elias's face, hungry, as if memorizing every new line etched by time. You look good, stronger. The market buzzed around them. Vendors hawking scones, kids chasing pigeons, but Elias felt exposed, raw. Go back to Seattle, Wyatt. We said our piece. No. Wyatt's hand shot out, gripping Elias's wrist. Not hard, but firm, thumb brushing his pulse point. I can't. Not without fighting for this. For us. His voice cracked, and Elias saw the fracture. The cocky photographer stripped bare, just a man pleading in the spring light. They ended up at a bench overlooking the bay, waves lapping like hesitant confessions. Wyatt spilled it all. The stranger was a model from a shoot, bourbon blurring lines, but worse, a pattern. Chasing highs to fill the void Elias illuminated. "You made me want to be better," Wyatt said, voice thick, steady. "But I sabotaged it, scared of how deep it went." Tears tracked his cheeks, unashamed, and Elias's resolve wavered, the old pull tugging like undertow. "I ran because you broke me," Elias whispered, staring at the water. "Every piece I glued back. I wondered if you'd shatter it again." Wyatt nodded, silent, and for a moment, they sat in the wreckage, the air heavy with unsaid "I love yous." Wyatt stayed a week, crashing on Finn's couch after Elias drew the line. No shared beds, not yet. They wandered Portland like ghosts of their Seattle selves. Coffee at Tandem, walks along the eastern promenade where gulls wheeled overhead. Wyatt was different, attentive, not performative. He helped with the mural, steady hands mixing blues that bled into purples, their fingers brushing in paint-splattered harmony. "This is us," Wyatt said one dusk, gesturing to the emerging figures. "Tangled, but beautiful." Finn pulled Elias aside at the bar that Friday. "He's trying, man. But you? Don't lose yourself in his redemption arc." Elias nodded, but nights alone in the cottage, he dreamed of Wyatt's arms, waking with sheets twisted and heart racing. Temptation coiled, sweet as sin. The breaking point came on a rain-lashed Saturday. They were at the cottage, Wyatt cooking chili from a family recipe, the kitchen steaming with cumin and memory. Laughter flowed easy, barriers crumbling, until Wyatt pulled Elias into an embrace, lips brushing his ear. "Stay with me. We'll go anywhere, back to Seattle or here. Just us." His hands slid under Elias's shirt, warm and insistent, reigniting embers long banked. Elias melted, then froze. "Not like this." He pulled back, breath ragged. "You don't get to waltz in and erase the hurt." Wyatt's face crumpled, blue eyes pleading. "Then teach me how. I'll learn." But Elias saw the ghost of the stranger's smirk, the lipstick's echo, and doubt flooded back. Wyatt left the next morning, train ticket in hand, but not before a final plea at the station. "I'm not giving up, Eli. You're my horizon." The Amtrak pulled away, Wyatt's silhouette shrinking, and Elias walked home through downpour, soaked to the bone, wondering if love was a tide that always returned, or a wave that finally drowned you. Summer scorched in, festivals pulsing through Portland's veins. Pride weekend was a riot of color. Rainbow flags snapping in the breeze, bodies painted and bare, music thumping from stages on the waterfront. Elias's mural debuted to cheers, his name on lips, but amid the euphoria, loneliness gnawed. Finn dragged him to after-parties, shots of something blue and burning, but Elias's gaze strayed to couples tangled in corners, echoes of what he'd lost. A letter arrived in August, postmarked Seattle. Wyatt's words poured out like confession, therapy sessions unpacking his fears of commitment. Roots in a Texas childhood where his father's rages taught him to bolt before being bolted on. "I'm jealous of the life you're building without me," he wrote. "The man in the photos, laughing with friends? That's mine. I want it back." Enclosed was a photo. Wyatt at their old Fremont spot, alone on the balcony, eyes fixed on the canal, caption scrawled, "Empty without you." Elias pinned it to the fridge, a thorn in his domesticity. Work pulled him north for a gig in Bar Harbor. Ironic, returning to roots he'd fled. The drive along Route 1 was a reel of memories. Childhood clam bakes, the ache of his parents' split, coming out at 17 to a mother who hugged him tight and a father who pretended not to hear. Bar Harbor hadn't changed. Lobster buoys bobbing in the harbor, tourists thronging the shore path. But Elias had, his sketches now commissioned for the inn where he stayed, capturing the town's queer undercurrent. Hidden lovers in moonlit coves. There, under Acadia's granite spires, clarity struck. Hiking the precipice trail, wind whipping his hair, Elias screamed into the void. Not Wyatt's name, but his own. A release of the boy who'd begged for scraps of love. At the summit, phone in hand, he dialed. "Come to Maine," he told Wyatt, voice steady as the rock beneath him. "But on my terms. No promises. Just truth." Wyatt arrived 3 days later, rental car crunching gravel outside the inn. They drove to Sand Beach at twilight, waves crashing like applause, and talked until stars pricked the sky. Wyatt was raw, stripped. "I saw you thriving from afar, and it gutted me. Jealous of the freedom I stole from you." Elias listened, then shared his fractures, the fear that love would always demand erasure of self. They kissed there, salt on lips, tentative as first light. Not forgiveness, but a bridge, fragile but spanning the chasm. Wyatt extended his stay, helping with sketches, their bodies rediscovering rhythms in the inn's attic room, slow and sacred. "I beg you," Wyatt whispered one night, arms locked around Elias's waist. "Stay in mine. Let me earn it." But shadows lingered. A call from Seattle. Wyatt's ex-model, drunk dialing, stirring old jealousies. Elias overheard, heart icing. "Delete him," he said. Not a demand, but a line in the sand. Wyatt did. Phone smashed against rocks the next day, shards glinting like broken trust. Progress, perhaps, but Elias wondered if the pieces could ever fully mend. Fall crept in golden, leaves carpeting the paths. They returned to Portland together, Wyatt subletting a room near the co-op. Their days a dance of caution and hope. Elias's next show loomed. A solo exhibit on fractured horizons. And Wyatt photographed it, lens capturing the vulnerability in Elias's eyes. "This is you," Wyatt said, showing the proofs. "Whole, even in the breaks." Yet doubt whispered. Was this redemption, or just another act? Elias pushed it down, choosing the warmth of Wyatt's hand in his during autumn festivals. The way their laughter synced over cider at harvest fairs. Love, he realized, wasn't a fairy tale. It was work, gritty and unglamorous, but worth the calluses. As November's chill bit, a storm brewed, not weather, but internal. Wyatt's Texas family invited him home for Thanksgiving, a olive branch after years of radio silence on his lifestyle. "Come with me," Wyatt urged, blue eyes earnest. "Show them the man who saved me." Elias hesitated, ghosts of his own family fractures rising. "Or we stay here, build our own table." The choice hung, a precipice. Elias chose truth. "Go, but come back to me, not them." Wyatt nodded, kiss fierce, and boarded the flight, leaving Elias to the cottage's quiet, wondering if roots could entwine without strangling. Wyatt's absence carved hollows in the cottage, the bed a vast plain of cold sheets, the kitchen silent without his humming off-key to country tunes on the radio. Elias filled the void with paint and pencil, the exhibit prep a frenzy of deadlines and doubt. Fractured horizons was his soul laid bare, canvases of lovers on ledges, skies splitting to reveal hidden hearts, each stroke a therapy session in oil and charcoal. Theo flew in from Seattle for the install, clapping Elias on the back amid the gallery's white walls. "This'll gut 'em, kid. Raw as fresh oysters." Finn helped hang the pieces, his lanky frame balancing ladders while cracking wise about artsy heartbreak vibes. Over takeout tie that night, sprawled on the cottage floor amid bubble wrap and beer cans, Finn got real. "Texans flying solo down south. You holding steady?" Elias shrugged, picking at pad CEW. "Trying. But it's like waiting for a tide that might not turn." Finn's gaze softened, hands squeezing his knee platonic and sure. "You've got an army here, Eli. Don't forget." Thanksgiving dawned brittle, Portland streets slick with early snow. Elias hosted a misfit feast. Finn, Riley from the podcast, a cluster of co-op artists with stories as jagged as his own. The table groaned under tofurkey and cranberry relish, laughter bubbling like champagne despite the undercurrent of loss. Elias carved the bird, real this time, a nod to Maine roots, and raised a toast. "To tables we choose, not inherit." Eyes met around the circle, nods exchanged. a makeshift family forged in the fire of outcast years. Wyatt called midway through pie, voice muffled by airport din, landed in Austin. Weird. Dad shook my hand. My hug too tight. Asked about you. Elias's pulse quickened. Fork pausing midair. What did you say? A beat. Then Wyatt's drawl, warm as hearth fire. Told him you're the best thing that ever crashed into my life. Begged them to get over themselves. Laughter in the background. His sisters, sharp and teasing, eased the knot in Elias's chest. Miss you, Wyatt added soft. Home's not home without your sketch under my pillow. The call lingered, a thread across miles, but Elias hung up to Finn's arched brow. Progress report. One lovesick cowboy. They clinked bottles, the night stretching into stories swapped like cards. Riley's transition triumphs. An artist's tale of fleeing a cult in Utah. Elias felt anchored. The ache dulled to a hum, but sleep brought dreams. Wyatt's arms enveloping, then shattering like glass under pressure. Wyatt returned 2 days later, browner from Texas sun. Duffel slung over shoulder as he kicked snow from his boots on the cottage porch. Brought contraband, he grinned, producing a pie tin of pecan pie, sticky and forbidden. Elias pulled him inside. Their kiss tasting of airports and longing, bodies pressing close in the entryway's dim light. How'd it go? Elias murmured, fingers threading Wyatt's hair. Like herding cats in a dust storm, Wyatt sank onto the couch, pulling Elias down. Dad grunted approval over brisket, high praise. Ma cornered me. That boy's got light in his eyes. Don't snuff it. His blue gaze held Elias's, vulnerable. I won't. Swear on the stars over Big Bend. They made love that afternoon, slow and deliberate. Wyatt's touches reverent, mapping scars both seen and unseen. You're my stay, he whispered, breath hot against Elias's collarbone. Begging you to believe it. December unfurled festive. Portland aglow with lights strung like constellations across Monument Square. Elias's exhibit opened to a crowd. Queer elders nodding at the depth. Young activists snapping pics for Insta. Critics scribbling notes that would later call it a poignant elegy for love's endurance. Wyatt hovered at the edges, camera in hand, capturing Elias mid-conversation, his hazel eyes alight with pride. Knew you'd slay, he said later, toasting with spiked eggnog at an after-party in the old port. But jealousy slithered in uninvited. A reviewer, sharp-jawed and silver-tongued, lingered too long at Elias's side, compliments laced with intent. Your work's got this visceral pull, like staring into a lover's soul. Wyatt's jaw tightened across the room, blue eyes narrowing as the man, Jasper, gallery owner, brushed Elias's arm. Later, in the cab home, Wyatt's silence thickened. That guy's circling like a vulture, he muttered, hand possessive on Elias's thigh. Elias laughed it off, but the undercurrent chilled. It's networking, Wyatt. Not everything's a threat. At the cottage, words escalated, Wyatt pacing, voice rising. I see how he looks at you, like you're a prize to claim. Elias fired back, old wounds reopening. And you? You claimed and discarded once. Trust goes both ways. The fight sputtered out in silence. Wyatt crashing on the couch. Elias staring at the ceiling, heart pounding the rhythm of what-ifs. Morning brought apologies over coffee, Wyatt's hands cupping Elias's face. I'm scared, Eli, of losing you to someone who won't fuck up like I did. Elias softened, pulling him close. Then don't push me away with your ghosts. They vowed therapy, joint sessions with a counselor in the West End, unpacking baggage in a sunlit office smelling of sage and chamomile. Wyatt spoke of his father's belt marks, the hyper-masculine armor he'd worn like skin. Elias of the divorce's echo, love as a fragile bird he feared crushing. Christmas Eve found them in Bar Harbor, Elias's olive branch to his own past. The drive was laced with carols and confessions. Wyatt's hand on Elias's knee as snow flurried past. Elias's mother greeted them at the door of the family cottage, her hug fierce, eyes crinkling at Wyatt's drawl. "Heard your trouble," she teased. But her gaze warmed as Wyatt helped with the tree, stringing lights with boyish focus. Dinner was simple: oysters on the half-shell, stories of Elias's boyhood mischief, and for the first time, his father's absence felt like space, not a void. They walked the shore path after, bundled in scarves, Wyatt's arm around Elias's waist. "This place made you," Wyatt said, breath fogging the air. "Fierce and deep." Under the moon's silver, they kissed, the ocean's roar a vow. Back in the guest room, bodies entwined, Wyatt begged in whispers, "Stay forever." "And my arms, my life." Elias yielded, but a seed of caution rooted, love's fragility, a horizon ever-shifting. New Year dawned crisp, resolutions whispered over champagne. Wyatt to confront his family's homophobia head-on, Elias to tour his exhibit south, chasing sun in Savannah. But January's gale brought crisis. Wyatt's phone buzzed during a session. Jasper, the reviewer, texting invites to collaborate. Wyatt showed Elias, transparent, but the sight twisted the knife. "Delete it," Wyatt asked, thumb hovering. Elias's chest tightened. "No, block him. We're building trust, not testing it." Wyatt did, but the incident lingered, a crack in the facade. Elias flew to Savannah alone, the exhibit's southern leg a whirlwind of magnolias and murmurs. Galleries in the historic district lauded his work, a bridge between coastal solitude and urban ache. But nights in the Airbnb, Elias scrolled Wyatt's texts. "Proud of you. Jealous of the ghosts you're charming." Laughter emoji, but Elias sensed the strain. Back in Portland, reunion was electric. Wyatt at the airport, flowers in hand, lifting Elias in a spin that drew stares. "Missed your chaos," Wyatt growled, nipping his ear. They dove into routine, mornings sketching side by side, Wyatt's lens framing Elias's focus. Evenings at the honey joint, Finn's toasts to second acts. Love deepened, textured now with forgiveness's grit. Yet conflict brewed distant. Wyatt's Austin kin planned a spring visit neutral ground, a ranch barbecue to mend fences. Elias agreed, but anxiety coiled. His own father's silence a mirror to potential rejection. Prep sessions turned tense, Wyatt rehearsing speeches, Elias sketching escape routes in his mind. February's full moon brought revelation. Snowed in at the cottage, power flickering. They huddled by candlelight, sharing a bottle of bourbon. Wyatt confessed a relapse thought, a bar pickup impulse, quashed by Elias's face in his mind. "You're my jealousy cure," he said, voice raw. "Seeing you rise? It humbles me." Elias wept then, not from pain but release. Love as mirror reflecting growth. Spring equinox neared, the visit looming. Elias packed with trepidation, Wyatt's hand steady on his. "We've got this," Wyatt murmured. But as the plane lifted toward Texas, Elias wondered. Could arms that once broke now truly hold? Texas unfolded vast and unforgiving. The ranch sprawled under skies so blue they bruised. Wyatt's family homestead sat on acres of scrub and live oak, a low-slung adobe with wraparound porch where wind chimes sang lazy hymns. Elias stepped from the rental car, humidity clinging like doubt, Wyatt's hand a lifeline at his back. "Breathe," Wyatt whispered, drawl thick with home's pull. "They're snakes, but they've shed some skin." Wyatt's mother, Clara, enveloped him in a cloud of lavender and skepticism. Hug stiff, eyes appraising. "Elias, the artist, Wyatt's told us stories." Her smile didn't reach hazel depths, mirror to her son's. His father, Harlan Kane, broad as the horizon, face weathered like canyon rock, grunted a hello over iced tea, gaze flicking to their joined hands before skittering away. Wyatt's sister, Lena, was the thaw. 25, all firecracker curls and wedding ring glint, pulling Elias into kitchen chatter about brisket rubs and Bar Harbor winters. The first dinner crackled tension, silverware clinking like Morse code. Harlan carved ribs with methodical slices, questions probing. Seattle treat you boys right? Or too much? Rain for real work. Wyatt jumped in, voice steady. Eli's murals are lighting up coasts, Dad. Real legacy stuff. Elias nodded, throat tight, sharing sketches on his phone. Queer figures dancing in Portland fog. Clara leaned in, softening. Got soul, like Wyatt's old photos from the creek. Nights in the guest bunkhouse. Wyatt's body sought solace. Thrusts urgent against the thin mattress. You're holding me together, he gasped, lips on Elias's throat. But dawn brought Harlan's shadow at the corral, watching Wyatt saddle horses with a frown that said volumes. Rides across the range tested bonds, Wyatt pointing out boyhood hides, Elias sketching the vista on a whim, charcoal smudging his fingers. This lands in your blood, Elias said, awed. Wyatt's laugh was bittersweet. Choked me once. Now, it's just dirt. Conflict erupted midweek, over beers by the fire pit. Lena's husband, a quiet ranch hand named Tate, asked blunt, "Y'all ever think about settling? Kids, the works." Wyatt stiffened, blue eyes flashing. "We're building our way, Tate, not yours." Harlan's voice rumbled. "Bloodline's legacy, son. Can't outrun it." The air thickened, sparks from the pit mirroring tempers. Elias's heart hammered. Echoes of his father's denial, the silence that had driven him north. Wyatt stood, chair scraping. "Legacy? You mean hiding who I am?" Eli showed me freedom, real, bone deep. Harlan's face reddened, words tumbling. "That boy's a phase, Wyatt. Find a girl, make right." The slap of truth landed, and Elias rose, voice calm as a blade. "I'm no phase. I'm the man your son loves. Deal with it or lose him." Silence crashed, Clara's gasp the only sound. Wyatt's hand found Elias's, squeeze fierce, and Harlan deflated, muttering retreat to the house. That night, Wyatt wept in Elias's arms, body shaking. Always the disappointment. Elias held him, murmuring of his own fractures. Maine divorces, coming out whispers. "We're not disappointments. We're survivors." Dawn brought Harlan at the door, coffee in hand, eyes downcast. "Saw your sketches, boy. Got grit. Sorry don't fix much, but welcome. Not embrace but a crack, enough for light." They left Texas lighter, plane banking over canyons, Wyatt's head on Elias's shoulder. "You faced my monsters," Wyatt said, kissing his temple. "Begging you never let go." Portland greeted with lilac bloom, the co-op abuzz with summer plans. Elias's work surged. A book cover gig for a queer memoir, illustrations bleeding emotion across pages. Wyatt tagged along to shoots, his lens now collaborative, portraits of Elias at work, vulnerability captured in focus pulls. But jealousy reared anew, insidious. Jasper resurfaced via email. "Industry mixer, invite to Elias?" ing Wyatt like a taunt. "Ignore," Elias said. But Wyatt's jaw clenched, old insecurities flaring. "He wants you," Wyatt accused over dinner at 4th Street. Lobster bisque cooling untouched. Elias pushed back. "And you want control. That's not us." The argument spilled into streets. Rain slicking arguments, Wyatt storming to Finn's for the night. Morning reconciliation at the cottage. Wyatt with bruised eyes, flowers wilted from grip. "Scared you'll see better in him." Elias cupped his face. "Better's you fighting your demons. But trust me or we're done." Wyatt nodded, deleting the thread, but the rift lingered, a fault line underfoot. Summer solstice brought festival fever. Portland's waterfront blues, stages throbbing with horns and heartache. They danced under string lights, Wyatt's hands on Elias's hips, bodies sinking to bass lines. Finn joined, trio weaving through crowds, shots of bourbon loosening tongues. "To jealous fools who learn," Finn toasted, winking at Wyatt, who laughed genuine, pulling Elias close for a kiss that tasted of sweat and surrender. Yet betrayal's echo whispered, A client dinner in Boston. Elias solo. Wyatt tied with a deadline. Spark texts from a tipsy colleague. Flirty edges blurring professional lines. Elias shared transparently, but Wyatt's response chilled. Don't play games, Eli. Accusation reversed. Elias's temper flared. I'm not you. Stop projecting. The call ended in static, distance amplifying doubts. Wyatt arrived at Logan unannounced, face haggard from red-eye. Couldn't breathe without you. Hotel reconciliation was fire. Sheets tangled. Apologies gasped between thrusts. Jealousy's my poison. Wyatt confessed after, fingers tracing Elias's spine. You're the antidote. They toured Boston hand in hand. Freedom Trail a metaphor. Paths forged from chains broken. Fall's harvest brought harvest of self. Joint therapy deepened. Role plays of confrontations. Wyatt voicing Harlan's barbs. Elias his father's silences. Progress etched in smalls. Wyatt cooking Maine whoopie pies. Elias framing Texas landscapes. Love romanticized the mundane. Picnics in Eastern Cemetery. Leaves crunching under whispers. Midnight drives to Peaks Island. Ferry rocking as they made promises under stars. But climax loomed. Wyatt's big break. A gallery solo in Seattle. Northwest nomad. Pulling him west for months. Come, he begged. Blue eyes imploring over wine at the cottage. Elias wavered. Portland's roots deepening. Commission stacking. 6 months? That's a chasm. Wyatt knelt, dramatic. Then bridge it with me. Stay in my arms. Our arms. Elias chose compromise. Visits, virtual sketches shared. Departure day gutted. Airport kiss lingering. Wyatt's, I love you. A vow against the void. Alone, Elias dove into work. Mural for a youth center. Queer kids rising from ashes. Fists raised in triumph. Finn checked in. Don't fade, artist boy. Wyatt's texts glowed at first. Exhibits fire. Wish your eyes on it. Then, gaps widened, shoots running long. Networking drinks. Elias's calls went to voicemail. Heart echoing the silence. A Seattle friend, casual. Wyatt's killing it. Saw him with that curator last week. Sparks. Doubt bloomed toxic. November's gale mirrored turmoil. Elias flew west unannounced, mirroring Wyatt's Boston move. The loft unchanged. Exposed brick. Their photos on walls. But Wyatt's energy shifted, distracted. Dinner at a Capitol Hill bistro, he confessed. The curator. One kiss, Eli. Stupid. Wine-fueled. Ended it. Betrayal sequel. Sharper for the growth promised. Elias's world tilted. Again? After everything. He fled to the balcony. Rain lashing. Sobs wrenched from depths. Wyatt followed, pleading. I panicked. Fame's glare. Old habits. But you're my stay. Begging, don't run. Elias turned, eyes steel. You broke us twice. I can't glue shards forever. He booked the red-eye east. Wyatt's arms reaching empty. Portland's lights blurred through tears. Finn at the airport with coffee and curse. Dump the cowboy. You've got ocean in your veins. Winter hunkered. Elias retreating to the cottage. Sketches turning savage. Figures fleeing flames. Horizons fractured beyond repair. Wyatt's voicemails piled. Jealous of your strength now. Come back. Let me fix my mess. Elias deleted, choosing silence's bomb. But love's tether tugged. A Seattle exhibit invite arrived. Wyatt's, dedicated to Eli, who taught me to see. Elias burned it, ashes in the wind, but the smoke lingered, acrid as regret. Winter's grip on Portland was merciless, ice glazing the bay like a frozen scream, mirroring the chill in Elias's core. The cottage, once sanctuary, now echoed with ghosts. Wyatt's laugh in the rafters, his scent clinging to flannel shirts Elias couldn't bear to wash. He worked through it, the youth center mural a lifeline. Vibrant phoenixes rising from grayscale ruins, eyes fierce with unbowed spirit. Kids from the center visited the site, their stories pouring out, runaways, rejecteds like water over dams. "This one's me," a teen named Kai said, pointing to a figure with ink-black hair and defiant stance. Elias hugged him, throat tight. "It's all of us." Finn became constant, crashing movie nights with popcorn and bad puns, his presence a buffer against the void. "You're glowing through the grit," Finn said one blustery evening as they shoveled the drive. Wyatt's loss. But Elias's glow flickered. Nights brought dreams of blue eyes begging, waking him sweat-damp and hollow. Therapy solo now, the counselor's office a confessional. Betrayal's a teacher, Elias. What lesson? He journaled it. Freedom's cost. Love's double edge. Pages filling like wounds scabbing. Spring's thaw came reluctant, mud sucking at boots as Elias hiked the 4-river trail, sketchpad under arm. New commissions flowed. A queer-lit anthology cover, illustrations of entangled limbs under urban neon. Theo visited, Seattle winds in his hair. "Miss you, man. City's dimmer." Elias smiled, but his roots dug deeper, Portland's pulse sinking with his co-op family a chorus. Wyatt's pursuit persisted, a drizzle turning torrent. Letters now, handwritten from Fremont. "Saw a mural like yours today, heart stopped. Jealous of the walls that hold your touch." Photos enclosed. The loft redecorated sparse. Wyatt's face leaner, eyes haunted. Elias filed them in a box under the bed, Pandora's archive. But one night, bourbon loose, he read aloud to the empty room, voice cracking on, "I broke us, but you'd mend me." The breaking or mending came in May, Portland's lilacs heavy with scent. Kai's birthday bash at the center. Cake and karaoke, teens belting anthems of survival. Elias arrived late, paint-flecked from a deadline, to find Wyatt in the doorway. Dusty jeans, Stetson tipped back, blue eyes wide with audacity. "Heard about the party. Had to see you." Gasps rippled. Finn's glare a shield. But Kai tugged Elias forward. "You're cowboy." The air hummed confrontation. Elias pulled Wyatt outside, gravel crunching under fury. "This is my space. You don't invade it." Wyatt's hands raised, placating. "Not invading. Begging. Saw your anthology mock-up online. God, Eli, it's brilliant. You're soaring, and I'm grounded, jealous as hell." His voice broke, drawl trembling. "One more chance. I'll crawl if I must." Elias's resolve wavered, the man's rawness a hook in his gut. "Crawl? You shattered me twice. What's different?" Wyatt stepped closer, rain starting to spit. "Me. Therapy's peeled the bullshit. I'm owning the fear, the runs. Love you enough to stay, not chase shadows." Thunder grumbled assent, and Elias searched those eyes, finding not perfection, but effort, scarred, sincere. They talked till midnight in the cottage, Finn hovering like a sentinel before retreating. Wyatt spilled. The curator kiss a panic spike, fame's isolation amplifying old sabotages. "You're my compass," he said, echoing Elias's tattoo. "Point me home." Elias confessed his terror, rebuilding only to raise again. Dawn found them on the porch, coffee steaming, Wyatt's head on Elias's shoulder. "Stay," Elias whispered, tentative, but slow. "Earn the arms." Wyatt did. Summer rebuilt brick by brick. Joint hikes in the White Mountains. Wyatt's camera capturing Elias's quiet joys. Sketching wildflowers, laughing at Finn's roasts. He volunteered at the center, mentoring Kai on photo basics. His Texas tales a bridge to the kids' dreams. Jealousy flared minor. A flirty vendor at the market, Wyatt's grip tightening. But he voiced it, gut punch. "Talk me down." Elias did, words a suture. Romance rekindled gentle. Picnics on Bug Light, lobster rolls shared as sunset bled orange. Slow dances in the cottage to Coulter Wall on vinyl, Wyatt's breath warm on Elias's neck. "Begging's my prayer now," Wyatt murmured, hands reverent. "Stay in mine." Intimacy healed layered, touches exploratory, vulnerabilities bared in afterglow whispers. Fall's palette painted conflict's canvas. Wyatt's Austin family extended invite. Wedding for Lena's friend. Whole clan's coming. Elias balked. Texas scars fresh. Not ready for round two. Wyatt pleaded. Show him we're solid. For us. Compromise. Weekend only. Boundaries drawn. The ranch shimmered autumnal. Leaves like embers. Clara embraced warmer. Harlan nodded over fence mending. Even sharing a silent cigar on the porch. Smoke curling questions unasked. But Tate's jab stung. Still playing house? Wyatt shut it down, voice steel. It's love, not play. Back off. Elias backed him, sketchpad out. Art's my house. Wyatt's the foundation. The wedding was revelry. Fiddle bands, two-step under stars. But Harlan pulled Wyatt aside. Words low. Proud, son. Quiet like. Wyatt wept later. In the bunkhouse. Validation's a drug. Elias held him. You earned it. We did. Return to Portland buzz triumph. But reality nipped. Deadlines clashed. Elias's anthology launch. Wyatt's Portland exhibit tie-in. Exhaustion bred snips. You're distant. Wyatt accused over cold takeout. Just buried. Elias snapped. A fight simmered. Wyatt sleeping at Finn's. Elias sketching rage into abstracts. Storms devouring ships. Reconciliation at the launch. Wyatt in the crowd. Eyes shining as Elias spoke. This book's for the broken who rebuild. After, in the green room, Wyatt knelt again. Marry this life with me? Not rings, commitment. Stay. Elias pulled him up. Kiss ceiling. Yes, but equal. Winter whispered warnings. Holiday split. Elias to Bar Harbor, Wyatt to Austin calls bridging miles. Miss your cold hands, Wyatt teased. But a storm, literal, nor'easter. Stranded Wyatt, flights grounded. Elias drove through whiteout, arriving at the ranch a snow-dusted savior. Clara's thanks was pie, Harlan's a gruff good on ya. New Year's toasted in the kitchen. Family tentative but present. Wyatt's arm iron around Elias. My anchor in the gale. Spring 2026 bloomed hopeful. Commissions cascading. Elias's work in a national queer art tour. Wyatt co-photographing. They bought rings subtle. Black tungsten. Etched with compass roses. Ceremony small. Portland waterfront. Finn officiating. Kai ringbearer. Vows exchanged as gulls wield witness. I broke you once, Wyatt said, voice carrying over waves. Vow to mend daily. Elias. I ran to save me. Stay to save us. But humanity's curve. Not fairy tale, but tapestry. Threads of doubt woven with joy. Jealousy's ghost visited in glances at parties. But they named it, tamed it. Love, they learned, was Tracken's art. Compassion for flaws, freedom and forgiveness. Band sack reclaimed in arms that held, not harmed. The tour kicked off in June. A whirlwind of galleries from Portland to Provincetown. Elias's illustrations leaping from pages to walls. Wyatt's photos interlacing like lovers' fingers. Boston's stop was electric. Crowds thrumming the ICA. Queer icons mingling with curious straights. Champagne flutes clinking toasts to visibility's victory. Elias stood before his spread. A mural-sized blow-up of entangled horizons. Heart pounding as a curator praised. It's intimate, almost voyeuristic, love's quiet wars. Wyatt hovered nearby, lens discreet, but his eyes on Elias burned possessive, a silent claim amid the swirl. Nights in hotel suites blurred boundaries. Bodies slick with travel sweat, Wyatt's mouth tracing the compass tattoo, whispering, points true, always. But jet lag bred vulnerabilities. Wyatt's jet-lagged grumbles over room service. Elias's snapped retorts at misplaced sketches. We're fraying, Elias admitted one dawn in a Providence B&B. City spires piercing fog like accusations. Wyatt pulled him close, stubble rasping. Then stitched tighter, begging. Don't let go. Provincetown tested the weave. P-Town's dunes and drag brunches pulsed with unapologetic gay energy. Rainbow flags snapping in Atlantic gusts. leather men sauntering Commercial Street hand in hand. The exhibit opening drew locals. Weathered fishermen with soft eyes for their sons' loves, artists trading war stories over lobster boils. Wyatt mingled easy, Texas charm disarming skeptics, but a burly photographer, ex of Wyatt's from Austin days, cornered him at the bar, hand lingering on elbow, laughed too loud. Elias watched from across the room, champagne souring, old jealousy coiling like dune grass. He confronted post-party, dune walk under moon-pale sand. He touched you like memory. Wyatt stopped, turning, ancient history, Eli, you're present. But Elias's voice rose, wind-whipping words. Memories bite. You broke me with one. Don't tempt fate. Wyatt's face crumpled, hands cupping Elias's chilled cheeks. No tempting. You're my fate. Jealous? Good. Means you care enough to fight. They kissed there, salt and sand grinding, reconciliation fierce as the tide. Tour's midpoint in D.C. brought reflection. National Portrait Gallery Annex. Elias's pieces hung beside heavyweights. Mapplethorpe's Shadows, Wojnarowicz's Fury. A panel discussion, Queer Love in the American Lens. Elias spoke raw. Love's not linear. It's shatter and solder, run and return. My partner's in the scars with me. Wyatt, audience front row, teared up, standing ovation thundering as he rushed the stage. Embrace public and unashamed. Proud doesn't cover it, he murmured, lips brushing ear. But conflict crested in New Orleans, tour's sultry finale. Nola's French Quarter throbbed jazz and jasmine, galleries in Marigny spilling onto banquettes. Wyatt's photos debuted alongside, intimate shots of Elias sketching, vulnerability etched in light and shadow. Critics raved, a diptych of devotion, but post-opening jazz crawl, bourbon flowing like the Mississippi, Wyatt vanished into a Preservation Hall crowd. Elias found him later, alley-shadowed, deep in talk with a lithe sax player. Ex-flame from a New Orleans shoot years back, hands gesturing animated, bodies inches too close. The alley confrontation exploded. Again, in our spotlight. Elias's voice cracked, rain starting to sheet. Wyatt reeled. Talking shop, Eli swear. But the sax man's wink said otherwise, and Elias's heart fractured anew. Shop? Or shopping for escapes? He stormed to their Garden District B&B, packing under gaslight flicker. Wyatt bursting in. Don't run. Please. I'm begging on knees here. Wyatt dropped, literally. Gravel knee scraped, blue eyes storm-flooded. I flirted. Stupid reflex. But you're my endgame, no more detours. Elias towered, tears hot. Endgame? You keep rewriting the rules mid-play. The fight raged, words weapons. Wyatt's fears of inadequacy, Elias's terror of endless cycles. Neighbors' shutters creaked witnesses, jazz wailing distant dirge. Dawn broke humid, them exhausted on the veranda, swing creaking truce. Wyatt confessed. The sax man an echo of pre-Elias chaos, fame's pressure amplifying impulses. Jealous of my own past, he admitted. But your future, Elias, voice ash. Then burn the past, or I walk for good. Wyatt nodded, phone smashed anew, shards in the azaleas, vowing group therapy on return. Flight home was silence mending. Hands clasped over peanuts, apologies and squeezes. Portland's airport hug lingered. Finn's pickup ride laced with, you two are a soap opera, but damn if it ain't poetic. Cottage reclamation. Shelves restocked joint, rings polish cymbals. Summer waned in therapy's forge, sessions dissecting Nola's fracture, Wyatt owning patterns, Elias voicing boundaries. Fall brought harvest of hard-won peace. Bar Harbor visit. Elias's mother beaming at their official status. Harlan Kane even video calling a gruff. Keep him steady, son. Holidays fused. Thanksgiving at the ranch. Turkey beside whoopie pies. Families tentative but toasting to chosen paths. Wyatt's growth shown. Mentoring at the center full-time. his exhibit proceeds funding scholarships for queer youth. Winter's hush allowed depth. New Year's Eve on Peaks Island, ferry slicing ice-flecked bay. They renewed vows under northern lights. Aurora's green dance a celestial nod. I loved you reckless, Wyatt said, ring glinting. Love you rooted now, Elias. You broke me open. I ran to wholeness. Stay, we're home. Yet the story's humanity lay in imperfection. Minor jealousies nipped in talks, doubts aired like laundry. Elias's next book deal, memoir of their arc, Wyatt photograph covers, collaborative as breath. Critics later called it a testament to love's labor. Dramatic falls, romantic rises, human holds. In spring's renewal, they adopted a rescue mutt, scruffy terrier named Compass. Walks along the bay a ritual of presence. Elias sketched their triad. Man, dog against horizon, unbroken. Wyatt framed it, our fractured beauty. Years blurred into legacy. Co-op expansions, family evolutions, Clara visiting Portland, baking pies with Elias's mom. Harlan softening to emails of grandkid dreams, via surrogacy whispers. Betrayals faded scars. Jealousy a teacher tamed. Love, they learned, was Tracken's grace. Compassion for stumbles, freedom to evolve, band sack intertwined yet sovereign. One evening, sunset gilding the cottage, Wyatt pulled Elias to the porch swing. Still begging daily, stay in my arms. Elias leaned in, hazel meeting blue. Always, we're the story worth telling.